world heavyweight champion in the history of boxing. He is the magnificent Muhammad Ali.
From the famous Phantom Punch that sparked endless conspiracy theories to the controversial long count that had everyone scratching their heads over the outcome, these are the biggest fights that were fixed, explained. Starting with the most scandalous match in boxing history, Muhammad Ali versus Sonny Liston. You see, Liston was the defending champ, and everyone had bet on him to win. But here's where it gets really juicy. Legend has it that Liston's corner used a particular type of liniment that was known to burn and blind opponents, and they smeared it all over his gloves before the fight. And wouldn't you know it, during the 5th round, Ali, who went by Cassius Clay at the time, was suddenly unable to see. The ref even had to pause the fight to ask him if he could continue, and Clay famously replied, "What round is it?" It was a clear attempt to undermine the challenger, and it had fans and critics alike crying foul. And despite all that, Clay still kept fighting. But then, in the 6th round, Liston just quit on his stool. Can you believe it? Even after trying to cheat and blind Clay, Liston couldn't handle the heat and just gave up. Clay wasn't going down easy, and he managed to knock Liston out in the 7th round, making him the heavyweight champion of the world at just 22. You see, the boxer who defeated the unbeatable Liston in February of '64 had since then become one of the most controversial figures in America. After winning the heavyweight title, Cassius Clay announced his allegiance to the Black Muslim cult and its leader, Elijah Muhammad, before changing his name to Muhammad Ali. So, not only was there scandal surrounding the fight itself, but the man who came out with a win was also a lightning rod for controversy. The mere mention of Ali's name was enough to stir up heated debates and arguments, with some fans hailing him as a hero and others denouncing him as a traitor.
They have different foods, they have different music, different cultures. See, you white and I'm black. If white people have a party tonight and black people have a party, the party will be 100% different.
It was the perfect storm of drama, scandal, and intrigue that rocked the boxing world and left fans wondering if they could ever truly trust the sport again. But Ali and Liston were supposed to have an immediate rematch after this fight, and people were already suspicious of the result. They weren't the only ones. There were all sorts of contractual drama leading up to the fight, and finally, after a bunch of wrangling, they set a date for the rematch in November of '64 in Boston. But then, just a few days before the match, Ali gets a hernia and has to get surgery. You can't make this stuff up, I swear. And while all this was going on, there was a huge feud between the leader of the Black Muslims and Malcolm X. And guess who had to choose sides? That's right, the new champ himself. Ali decided to stay loyal to Elijah. Then, out of nowhere, Malcolm X got assassinated on February 21st, 1965. And it made sense for everyone to speculate that Ali would be the next target. In fact, the FBI took it so seriously that they assigned a squad of armed officers to guard him 24/7. The rematch was a total mess. The promoters set a new date, but then Liston went and got himself arrested again. And everyone started getting spooked that the organizers were mobbed up, but the promoters weren't going down without a fight. They didn't care if it was a dump or if only a handful of people showed up. They just needed to keep their commitment to broadcasting the fight across the country. The organizers decided to hold the fight in the most random place imaginable, Lewiston, Maine. But the atmosphere surrounding the match was so tense and violent, only a crowd of around 2,500 fans showed up. That's barely even a drop in the bucket when it comes to championship matches. The first Ali Liston fight had an attendance of over 20,000 people. Talk about a flop. And to top it off, when the match began, Liston went down in the first round. But no one really saw the punch that knocked him out. The punch that decided the whole contest was what we now know as the Phantom Punch. Ali then started dancing around the ring right after, while the referee was trying to get him to calm down and administer a 10 long count to Liston, but the ref failed to do his job and just gave the win to Ali. It's almost like they just wanted to hand the fight to Ali on a silver platter. The rematch between Ali and Liston was drowning in conspiracy theories. One of the most popular theories was that the fight was fixed. People just couldn't believe a punch as weak as the Phantom Punch could bring down Sonny Liston, who was majorly known for his toughness and durability. It was like David beating Goliath, but with a twist. People suspected that the Giant had thrown the fight. There was another theory that Sonny Liston gave up during the fight, which added fuel to the conspiracy fire. The rumor mill was in overdrive, with people saying that Liston wanted an early exit from the fight, but quit out of fear of being killed by an errant bullet if one of Malcolm X's followers tries to assassinate Ali. But as with any conspiracy theory, there isn't any actual evidence to back up these claims. Ali versus Liston remains one of the most controversial matches in boxing history, and yet it's not the only one. Another fight that has sparked controversy for years was the 1927 heavyweight championship bout between Jack Dempsey and Gene Tunney, specifically the long count that followed a knockdown of Dempsey. Picture this. It's the 1920s and boxing legend Jack Dempsey is facing off against the up-and-coming Gene Tunney. Dempsey, the former champ, was looking to reclaim his title in this highly anticipated rematch. Dempsey knocks Tunney down in the 7th round, but he didn't go to a neutral corner like he was supposed to. Instead, he lingered around, arguing with the referee, giving Tunney more time to recover. The ref started counting, but he was slow because he had to shoo Dempsey away. And by the time he got to 10, Tunney was back on his feet and ready to fight. He recovered from the knockdown and went on to win the fight by unanimous decision. Some people say that the fight was fixed from the start, with both boxers being in on the scheme. Others think that the referee was bribed to count slower during the long count, giving Tunney more time to recover. Some even claim that the timekeeper was in on the fix, and that he intentionally delayed sounding the bell to signal the end of the round. And many thought that the referee gave Tunney extra time to recover because he was friends with him. Either way, the controversy of the long count fueled this rivalry between Dempsey and Tunney that lasted long after their two legendary fights. It's crazy to think that this fight even spawned a new phrase in American English, the long count, meaning when you get extra time or do a do-over in a situation. After the fight, Tunney retired undefeated. He never lost a single fight after that controversial win over Dempsey. Meanwhile, Dempsey never won another world title. Can you believe it? One fight, one long count, and it ruined Dempsey's career. Tunney probably went on to live a life of luxury, while Dempsey probably had to find another job. That's gotta sting, man. These matches prove that the world of boxing has had its fair share of scandals, and they're just some of the biggest fights that were fixed, explained.